In this video, I'm going to show you how you can create motion graphics like Houston Kold in DaVinci Resolve for your Instagram Reels. Go ahead and make sure you have two images of the same person. Then you also have a texture for the background. Make it dark and then go ahead download any elements that you want to include in the video. It can be this Instagram icon and also this timeline to show the editing. Now let's go ahead and create our timeline. Right click over here and go to create timeline. Then unselect use project settings and go to format and then select use vertical resolution and hit create. Now let's go ahead and add in our fusion composition and head over to it. So over here, we're going to add this background and let's go ahead and add a merge node as well. And right now I'm going to drag in this texture that I have and I'm going to attach this transform and then attach it to the merge. Then in the transform, I'm going to change the angle to 90 since it was horizontal and now it's vertical. And now let's go ahead and increase the size so that this fits in our screen. So 1.5 seems good. And now go over to the merge node over here and then change the blend to 0.4. Now let's go ahead and add some particles. So for this one, you can simply drag in this particle emitter from here and also the particle render from here. Make sure you connect them and then connect it to the merge one, and this will create a merge two. Now let's head over to the E emitter one and go over to region. Change the region to all and then go over to style. Change the style to blob and then go over to size control. So if we zoom in over here and then go ahead, change the size, you will see that we get some dots over here. So you start to see some dots and you can change the size over life and decrease it from here. So if we play this now, this is how it will look. But let's go over to the controls and change the number to, let's say 2. And this is how it will look at the moment. Let's also decrease the lifespan to 40 or 39. And let's go ahead and change the velocity to 0.16. And if you go back to the style over here, you can also go ahead and change the color. So I'm just going to go with this yellow color over here. So here we have some particles in the background as well. And of course, you can also go ahead and change the Z scale size so that we get a different kind of size for each of them like this. And then go ahead and change the noise to 1. So right now, this is how it will look. Okay, now that we've done our background, we will create another fusion composition. So let's head back to our main timeline. And from here, let's drag in another fusion composition. Right click and go over to the fusion page. Now, once again, drag a background. And this time we're going to change the alpha to 0. Then let's go ahead and drag in our image. So this can be any image, the first image that we're going to be using, and make sure you connect this transform node to it and change the size so that it fits the screen. And if you have an image like this, where you have this area showing, what you can do is go ahead and add this rectangle mask and then connect it to the merge. And from here, let's go ahead and increase the width and change the soft edge all the way to 0.2. All right, and now we need to attach a magenta. So let's go ahead and select our media in and click Control Space and search for this. So change the moderating to advanced and change the border shape to oval. Then go ahead and change the shape size to 0.7, anamorphism to 0.4, softness to 0.3, and red to 1, green to 0.3, and blue, keep this at 0. So you can see this is the kind of effect that we will get around the image. And of course, you can change the color if you want to. Yeah, that's up to you. So our basic image is done. All right, and now go ahead, select your transform, then go over to 30 frames and then create a keyframe at center. Then go over to 10, change this x-axis to this side, and then go over at 0 and change the y-axis like this. So if we play this, this is how it will look. And you can go over to the spline and select your keyframes. And from here, let's go ahead and change the ease them in. So if you play this, this is how it will look. And the next thing is the merge one. So go over at 35 and create a keyframe at length. And then at 40, change this to 0. So if you play this now, here it will disappear. Okay, now let's go ahead and create two more merge nodes and then add this fast noise and connect the first one to the merge two. And we're going to add another one, but first let's talk about the first fast noise. So go over to the detail and change that to 0.5 and change the contrast to 5, brightness to 1, scale to 1.26, angle keep that at 0, change the seed to 0.25 and the rate to 0.07. All right, and now let's go over to the color tab and from here, change the green all the way to 1. And over here in the color 2, go ahead and change the red to 0.08, the green to 0.5, keep the blue at 0 and change the alpha to 0 as well. All right, and now let's go ahead and add in this ellipse and connect it to the fast noise. And over here, let's change the width and the height like this. And go ahead and change the soft wedge all the way to 0.2 like this. Now let's go over to fast noise 2, connect it to merge 3. And over here, change the detail to 10, contrast to 5, change the brightness to 1, scale to 3.6. Then go over to the color and over here, change the red to 0.6, green to 0.12, and keep the blue at 0 and alpha at 0 as well. And over here in the color 2, change the red to 0.3, green to 0.5, and blue, keep that at 0, keep the alpha at 1. And for this one, let's also drag in another ellipse. And this time I'm going to just copy the same settings and I'm going to paste them over here. Connect it to the fast noise too, but this time go over and unselect this solid and change the border width all the way to 0.2. And this is how it will look. Now let's go over at 30 and in the ellipse 1, let's go over at 40 frames. And over here, let's create a keyframe at width, go over at 30 frames and then change this to 0. And let's do the same thing for ellipse 2. So create a keyframe at width, go over at 30 frames and then change the width to 0. So this is how it will look. And once we have this green appearing, we have the image disappearing as well. And now we need to add another image in its place. So let's go ahead, move this down. All right, now let's add another merge node right underneath the merge one. And over here, we're going to add in the second image that we have. Make sure you have the transform connected as well, and then connect it to the merge 4. And from here, you can just resize this like this, and also move this down if you want to, like this. All right, and now over here, you can see this is how it's going to appear. Once we have the shape coming in, we're going to reveal this next image. And in order to do that, let's drag in the ellipse tool and connect it to the merge 4. And here you can see it is already changing. So let's change the width and the height to full at 40 and create keyframes at width and height. Then over at 30, let's go ahead and change this to 0. So if you see this, this is how it will look. And now go ahead and select the ellipse of the fast noise and go over at 40 frames And here you can increase the width and the height so that this fits in the whole image. And now if you play this, this is how it will look. And now let's go over to the second ellipse. And then right now we had a keyframe at width, and let's go all the way to, let's say, at the end, or let's say at 100 frames, and then you can start to increase the width. So if you play this now, it looks like it is animating. Right, now let's go ahead and start adding our text. So I'm going to add a text over here, right above this image, because we need a text over here as well in the starting. So let's go ahead, drag in the text, connect it to merge one. And over here, let's type in, let's say how, and I'm going to use this Poppins font, change this to black and size to 0.2, or let's say 0.5, and move this down like this. All right, and now let's add in another text. So, but before we do that, let's just start animating this text over here. So let's say at 5, I'm going to create a keyframe, and I'm going to write in to create, and let's decrease the size to, let's say, 0.2. And also over here, create a keyframe at Poppins in the font, and then over here, let's change this to bold. So this is how it will look. And of course, over here, we also need to create keyframe for the size. So create a keyframe of 0.2 over here, where we have this second text popping up. And on the first one, change this back to 0.5. So this is how it will look. At, let's say, 20, let's go ahead, create another keyframe at all of these areas. And then over here, let's type in motion and change this to black once again, and then change this to 0.3, or let's just keep this at 0.2. And over here, I'm going to add in another text, and this time I'm going to write in graphics, and simply just go ahead and copy the same settings. You can just type in Poppins and increase the size to, let's say, 0.2, move this here, and let's change this to regular. So let's make sure that this is aligned properly. At 0.17, it looks fine. All right, and if I play this now, motion graphics. So over here, we're going to add in this graphics too. So make sure you have text 2 selected. Go over to shading, create a keyframe at opacity, then one frame behind where we have this one, just change this to 0. So this is how it will look. All right, and once we have this over here, you can already see that the text hides itself, so it doesn't matter. So let's play this, and here we're going to add in another text. So this was the image we had. So let's go ahead and add another text behind the image. So let's add in this one right here, and let's type in this, and same font, Poppins, black. Let's change this to 0.5 and move this up a little bit. And let's go over to layout and change the z-axis like this. And this one I'm going to add in right here at, let's say, 45. So let's go over to text and then create a keyframe at right on, and then go back to 40 frames and then change this to 0. So if we play this, this is how it will look. All right, now let's add in the name over here. So this whole thing, it says how to create motion graphics like Houston Kold. So you will see that this is the kind of style he has in his videos. So let's go ahead and add that. So right now, I'm just going to Move this down, add two merge nodes. Again, add two text over here. First one, I'm going to write Houston, same font. This time, let's go with 0.2. Move this right here. Add in another one, and let's just copy the first one and paste it in the second one, and move this right here and change this to gold. And this time, I'm just going to change this to light. And in the first one, I'm just going to move this up a little bit. And the fifth, and this text over here, let's just change the size to, let's say, 0.4, or let's say 4.5, where it seems fit. And let me just align this a little bit. Right, and here we have the text line, and we're going to move this in from 55 frames to 60. So let's go over to text 4, create a keyframe at 60, then at, let's say, 55, or at 50, let's just change this to 0, and then start the other one at 55. So at 60, just create a keyframe at right on, and then at 55, let's change this to 0. So if we play this, this is how it will look. And now we have the text done as well. Let's add in the elements that we had. So I'm just going to move this down, the fast noise down, and add in two merge nodes. So over here at assets, drag in any element that you have connected. Make sure you have the transform node over here. Change this accordingly. Place the elements anywhere that you want. That's up to you. And this is optional. This is up to you. So the second one, I'm just going to add this again. Yeah, and add the transform node and then add it to the merge node. And this time, I'm just going to change this to this side, like this. All right, and once we have this animation done over here at 70 frames, let's bring them in. So create a keyframe at 80 in center, and then go back to 70 and move this right here. And do the same thing for the other one. So keyframe at center, and then move this right out. Let's go over to spline and make sure you only select transform 3 and 4. So make sure everything else is unselected, only 3 and 4. That's what we need. So hit S on the keyboard while you have them selected, and then this is how it will look. And one last thing is this one, this Instagram icon that we had. So for this one, I'm just going to connect it to the merge 11, and in the merge 12 that we had, go over here and change this to warp and decrease the size like this, and go ahead and add in this rectangle 2 and connect it to the merge 12. So over here, you can see we are masking now. Just make sure you change this and move this right here like this. So again, this is up to you. This is if you want to do this. So at 90, I'm just going to create a keyframe at center for this mask. And let's say at 75, I'm just going to move this right here. And just go a little bit far. So this is how it looks. And of course, the final thing is the zoom in. So you will see in his videos a lot of times there is a zoom in. So let's add the transform node over here. Make sure you don't include the fast noise that we have, only the elements that we have. So let's go over here to, let's say, 40, create a keyframe at size, and then all the way to the end. Let's increase this right here. So if we play this now, here's how it will look. And one final thing is the text in the background. Let's just go ahead and blur the text as soon as we see this text over here. So Let's go ahead to the text 3 and right here where the text 4 is coming in, let's just start blurring the text, let's say at 55. So I'm just going to add a blur node like this, create a keyframe, add 0 over here and the blur size, and then at 60, let's change this to like 10. Then this is how it will look. All right, so our animation is done. Let's go ahead and see this, how it looks in the main timeline. All right, fantastic. So this was it for this video. I hope you found this useful, and I'll see you in the next one.